All right. Hello, everyone. Checking the levels. Still got this different setup, which is I feel like it picks up more ambient noise in the room, which is interesting. Maybe I should try to move it up higher. Let's try that today, see how it goes. Ooh, I'm kind of not centered. There we go. That's a little better. All right. Who is out here? Let's share my screen. Let me know you can hear me and see me okay. Yeah, looks like we got some peeps out there. Good. It's all going through okay. All right, let's jump in. Got a couple bugs that came in after the fact last week, as well as some enhancements. I can definitely see more usage on Blueprint, which is cool. Just kind of going out real quick. Oops. Just went in a circle. Installs is what I was after, but definitely broke up pretty good back in June, which was nice. So yeah, I definitely see new releases and so forth coming out, but this number is definitely growing. It was less than 10,000 not too many weeks ago. So yeah, you can see here that people are definitely using it. So it's good. Now, I think in fairness, installs is you know what? I know Jordy wrote about that a long time ago. Maybe someone in the audience can tell me. I don't know if installs is truly composer install or if updates count as well. But anyways, if this is download, then it could just be 1,000 people downloading it 20 times. So, who knows? But that's my next metric that I'm chasing. So when it breaks 100,000, I will probably consider a V2, just to kind of share where I was going with all those metrics. But yeah, anyway, a lot of these community enhancements are out here. People kind of dropping in. They clearly used Blueprint, and maybe thought of something. But the nice thing about Blueprint is it really helps you kind of get up and running, and then in a way you don't use it again. And sometimes that would be for some services or products, that would be a bad thing. You want to keep people using it. But for me, that's exactly what I want. I want people to, again, use it initially to help them get started and then just go in and write Laravel code. There's no reason to continue to mess with Blueprint. And that's sometimes why I close a few of these issues, because maybe they're just a little too custom. But for the most part, if it's not something that I feel is core, at this point, I've stopped closing them and just marked them as community enhancements. And I'm really just waiting on someone in the community to pick it up. There are a few of them that I may come back to. So the ones that aren't marked community are things I want to do. I want to make the stubs customizable, for example. So once all these bugs quit, I will get back onto that. So, hey, Yoast. Hey, Trask. What's going on, man? Hope you're doing all right. Glad you could join. So anyway, Yoast, to the point. Am I saying that right? Is it a hard J or is it a European J? Yoast, like JavaScript. So anyway, let me know so I can start saying your name right, since you are always on and contributing with issues and whatnot. So let's start taking a look at these. This was a good one from last time and should hopefully be super quick to pick up. But again, Yoast, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, pointed out that Laravel actually is smart enough. It's a soft Yoast. Nice. Cool. Good. I am saying it right. So Laravel is smart enough underneath the covers with those API resources that we are generating for our API classes, to actually determine based on the model, and return a 201 or a 200. And so even though we generated that nice, cool code last week with our shorthand, we actually introduced a bug, or we missed kind of this boundary case, so to speak. So let's pick this sucker up and fix this, because this should be pretty easy to do. Let's close some of these other windows that are confusing me. Okay, so let's get out of my dot files, which I added that Docker exec shorthand that I tweeted about yesterday. That must have been the last thing I did. Let's go to Blueprint. Not blue, Blueprint. There we go. And let's check out master. Get checkout master. There we go. Get pull origin head. All right, we got everything in the latest, and let's do a get checkout dash B fix 291. Cool. All right, we're at it, and let's bring up PHP Stormsville. Did I not get the right PHP Storm? Hold on. I know PHP Storm just installed yesterday. I don't like this JetBrains toolbox thing. Like, I know it's supposed to be helpful, but I've found that it actually leaves trace PHP Storms in here. Like, which one is this? Like, see, this is 2021.3, so it's newer, but I'm getting both results. I kind of don't. Maybe that's a Mac thing. That might not be their fault, but I didn't notice that until I installed that JetBrains tool to kind of help. So theoretically, that toolbox is supposed to help between like my laptop and right now I'm on my iMac, kind of keep those in sync, but who knows? Anyway, Blueprint is what we're after. And let's get in here. So that's going to be our test generator, and let's just start with the test. And we know that all these crazy certificate type examples are going to be the ones that should break. So let's go to tests, and what we should do is update. Update's fine with the OK. It's store, and store should be assert created. That would be pretty dopesville if it could do that. So let's make it do that, right? Because that's more in line with what's actually happening here. Now this isn't going to be for every API. It's only when we're using the resource. So we want to be kind of smart about that. It has to be a resource being returned. So we want to make sure some of our other tests sorry about that. Okay, so vendor bin PHP unit, and good, we've got a failure. So let's hone in on just this test generator, and there we go. Cool. All right, so we definitely have our error, and let's see if we can make this happen. So let's go to the test generator, and somewhere in here we assert OK, which is good. So here's our resource statement. So we just need this to be a little bit smarter, right? We just need to say something like, if this action is store, we would want to tweak that a little bit. So it looks like we have access to action here. Well, wait, this has access to the statement route. Does the resource statement know? No, it only knows. Okay. I know the test itself knows which one it is. Yeah, name. Where does name come from? Let's just hit Command B so we quit messing around. Name and statements. Okay, so name. Ah, man, I'm sorry. My nose is like itching. What does that mean? What's the wives' tale or whatever, the myth when your nose itches? People are talking about you or something like that? Must have a lot of people talking about me because it is like very itchy right now. Okay, back to it. So the resource statement. So I think we have access to name. Let's just dump that out to see. So we should have access to that from very high up, which should be the yes, good, store index. Okay, cool. So we can simply say if name equals to store. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your API, honestly, yeah, it doesn't matter if your API or not. If you're using a resource statement and we know you're in the conventional store method, then we can probably tweak this for you. And so if you're in store, then we want assert created. Now my guess is, yeah, exactly. That's going to flip-flop. It's going to go from one error to more errors because now we got to go fix this in all those other controllers, or test cases, which I complained about having kind of multiple that do the same thing the other week. May clean that up in time, but that's okay. So let's go find this, and we'll just, again, we're going to switch gears. So I went from having a test that fails to getting that test to pass, which is, that might have been a little confusing. So let's just prove this transition real quick. Let me go back to the last test that failed, and we can just filter maybe like just it. Yeah, so we had one failure, and that was the output works for Pascal definition. Okay, so let me just filter this, and the goal here is to see that it's green, and it's not. So let's finish fixing our first test before we move on to the others. So what did we break here? We got assert OK, assert OK, assert OK and show. We have a response assert created, store saves. What else is wrong here? Let's copy it and find out. So I'm just going to copy what we were expecting, and let's do this. Just as a little trick here, I'll just add everything I've changed, and then I should be able to paste that. Okay. It got a lot more stuff in here. Look at all the things it added. That's very strange. It's like it didn't have my latest... It's like it doesn't have my latest work or something? That was weird. I did do a get pull, right? Get Lola. Origin master. Generate. Get fetch origin. Get checkout master. It says I'm in line with it. Get pull. Get Lola. Yeah, I'm tagged. How are we missing that? Fix 291. That's very strange. Maybe I didn't open the right file. Maybe that's what it was. So confusing. Get status. All right, get checkout. The fix 291. Let's just go back to where we were. And let's undo that. Yeah, see, these updates don't have the assertions, or well, they have a few. Oh, yeah, I think I filtered the wrong thing. Sorry about that. Let's go back to the actual test. This tests two things. Okay, it tests one and another. That's the issue. So let's go fix. We're on type Pascal. Let's go fix this one. That's the issue. All right, rabbit hole number 1 of the day. Okay, so index, form request, assert created. There we go. Okay, good. So now if we go back to our filter, we're green. Okay, cool. So I didn't properly fix all of those tests in fairness, which again goes back to the point I was trying to make. You definitely want to make sure that you have a failing test for the right reasons, which is the part I missed, and then proceed to moving to the test. And now that the test is passing, we will go back, or we've proven that the test works. We're going to run this for everything and go fix it for this other test case, which is category controller. All right. Let's see category controller. Oh, wait. I want to hone in on this. Sorry, the stuff's in the way. API shorthands, I think, is what that is. Yeah. All right. Update, show. Here's store. So assert created. Cool. Let's see if we get down to 1. We do. What's the last one here? Store saves. This is a category. Custom namespaces. Okay. Model with custom namespace. Store. Whoops. Assert created. And we're back to green. Let's run all the tests again. And we're passing. Yes. Cool. Okay. So it took a little longer to clean up those tests, which again emphasizes why I want to kind of consolidate those, because I feel like these tests kind of overlap in what they cover. And as we're changing and fixing some of these boundary cases and bugs, it's pretty nasty. So yeah, Yoast, exactly. Yeah, we want to clean up those fixtures for sure. And again, that would be a pretty challenging thing. So it's probably not something, as we saw even just with this very simple change, it's probably not something I'd want to live stream. It's a pretty nitty gritty task. But yes, ideally, moving forward, I've been pretty good about that. But there are some kind of legacy fixtures which would be a lot nicer if they just weren't so overlapping like that. So anyways. Git add -p, let's just kind of review this. So yes, all we should see are these assert created changes. Cool. And git commit -m. What do we have here? We are use assert created for new resource responses. There we go. Cool. New resources responses. What do we want to say? Newly created. Git commit --amend. Did I make the cutoff? No, I didn't. Okay. Use assert created for. I like the new resource. New resource responses. There we go. All right. I was just making sure I had the 50 character cutoff so it doesn't wrap. I'm kind of a stickler about that. Git push origin head. Git open. You know what? I'm not gonna go through the dance of the pull request. Sorry. Git checkout master. Git merge dash. Git push origin head. Yay! And we'll just close this straight up. Yes, this one. All right. Donezo. All right, what's next? This one's a little bit larger, so I think this one will probably take the rest of the time. Yeah, exactly. This has been floating out there for a while. And honestly, there was a reason. There was a reason I didn't do this. There was a reason I didn't do this. And I think we're going to stumble upon it when I start working on this again. I think you can't do this universally. Like if someone uses update, I don't know what they're wanting to update exactly. However, we could be a little bit conventional about it when they use shorthands. So for example, in this case, we know they're using some kind of validation request, which means the request has some bits of data, and the assumption would be that you would at least want to update your model based on that criteria. So I think at the beginning I just left it kind of blank for version 1, but we're farther down the road now. So yeah, I think we could tackle this, and at least in the case of when you're using a validate statement, to pre-fill update with those things. Now, let's look at the code. Let's go to the controller lexer, and let's see how those get broken up. So it does use an eloquent update statement. Let me get a drink. So let's see. So save is different. So we want to focus on update. Let's go look. Is there such thing? No, it's just an eloquent statement. I think I group them all under that. And you have an operation. And there is no reference here. Update just... Oh wait, no, update does have some stuff. If not, empty this columns. Ah, I see. I see what's going on here. Cool. Okay. That's actually makes it a little bit easier. So what it seems like to me is that you can write an update statement with like post dot, name or title, and post dot content and whatever, and this will parse out as an update statement, and then those will get imploded in there. So it could be cool. I think the easiest course of action is that in the case of the resource, this singular resource name, Blueprint's going to write that as update, certificate. And then I don't think that gets pulled into columns, maybe, or maybe it gets pulled into reference and I just don't use it later. So let's find out. So let's just kind of go take a look at how that works. So that would be the controller generator, or well, there's an eloquent, no, controller generator is what it's going to be under. And let's find where we use the eloquent statement. We just call output. Okay, and output takes a controller prefix and a context. So does this... Yeah, see it? I just think all that's missing in here is the fact to, what about, this arrow resource, right? That's what we're after. I think that's what's missing. So let's prove that with just some little spiking here. So let's find one of these that should work. So going back to the standard certificate update one, we could kind of just look at our same code to generate that. So let's find a test which is going to generate what we're talking about in the issue. So if we do, let's check out another branch, fix, what is that, 292, I guess? Yes, it is. 292. Still looking down at my keyboard. Okay, and this is certificate request, API resource. So somewhere in here we generate one of those. So let's go to the controller test. Controller generator test. Yeah, that was the right spot. And do we have certificate in here? Yes, we do. There we go. Good. What's this test? Pascal case. Imagine that. So let's do vendor, bin, PHP unit, and filter by that. Everything passes, of course, but let's do this. Let's do a dump of the statement, and that might be a bit crazy, but let's try it out. Yes, update, certificate, reference. So my assumption is correct. When it is a reference, when it's a reference, we're not doing anything in those cases. So yeah, and I think the other ones do. So for example, save just does create all. The context is store. So really what I'd want to do is probably something very similar to what I do with find. I don't know. That's kind of gross. That's kind of gross. I'm trying to think of the right approach here. Like delete's pretty easy because you just use the reference. The problem is, okay, let me just kind of pseudocode this out to demonstrate the problem. So the problem is that sure, I have a resource, okay, but then I would need to find the model by resource and then pull off the columns. But really just the validated columns, ... So that's not something this eloquent statement should do. It's very, very low level. It would not have access to those types of things. So I have a couple options if I want to do this, quote unquote, the right way. One, I could pass in those additional columns, which gets a little gross, but it would work. So I could know in the controller generator, I could say, okay, sorry. My headphones keep cutting off every now and then it goes out through my speakers, which is weird. Okay, anyway, back on. So I could pass that in here, knowing that I, validated some stuff up higher. That's one option. Probably the easiest option. I think the correct option, and something I've talked about before, not the correct, but something I've talked about before for sure, has been when we generate, this was a bit naive. Really what needs to happen is like this needs to get kind of, I want to call it like post-processing, if you will. Like this expands a shorthand, okay? But then it needs some post-processing. And the post-processing I'm talking about here is the same type of processing which has led to all the most recent bugs, is the fact that we're now having to support this kind of singular reference, which in fairness is a good shorthand to have for Blueprint. I think it's very, very handy. So I want to preserve that. But the fact that we're handling those references at a very, very low level by now, especially for those who have watched these streams a couple times, or at least a few of these, have seen that all of these last bugs have been scenarios where we've had to account for this resource thing at a very, 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 very low level. As opposed to if we did it at a high level, they already would have had all the code they needed to do the right thing. So save and validate and all these other things, like, and now the update statement, they would already know if we did some pre-processing to put the appropriate fields here. So yeah, we left this singular, but then there was another step down here that expanded update resource into update whatever was being validated. So like that would be name, title, and published date. And now it's a non-issue, right? Because Blueprint already supports this down by the time you get down to the code generation. Same with the validate statement. So you've probably heard me kind of harp on that before. That would have been the right way to fix all this stuff. But we're kind of late now. So that's the big refactor I would want to do. So that feels pretty daunting to change that right now on a live stream. I'd probably want to spike that out a little bit myself beforehand so we don't watch me flounder for like 30 minutes on that. So for the purposes of today and solving this bug with the knowledge that we've already solved it, kind of at a low level anyways, and we want to go back and fix that, let's do the easy thing for now, and then we'll kind of go and make the hard change easier by paving the way at a, off stream, so to speak. So let's handle this resource bit. It's definitely not going to know the columns. So, and that's the other problem. See, we can't even pull those off the validate statement. Let's go demonstrate that. Yeah, if we use a validate statement, it's not even here because the validate here is pretty easy. Where this really is demonstrated and what we did last time was the controller generator, the test generator. Let's find the validate statement in here. I think they're in alphabetical order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They're not in alphabetical order. I need to make those in alphabetical order. All right, where's the validate statement? There it is. Yeah, so all of this nasty if statement is, yeah, where we do stuff like that. I mean, look at this. This is 50 lines of junk. So that's what we're doing. We're basically going through statement data. We determine if it's generate reference factory. So this is something we did in a previous stream, which again demonstrates the fact that because we have this like low level reference type stuff, it's really becoming a bit hard to kind of pull that out. But let's see how it does it for a chance to do it in our controller generator. Hey Freddie, what's up? Oh, good. Glad you're learning some stuff from the package. Awesome. Yeah, and you know what? To that point, just real quick, that's one of the reasons I know Yoast and I have gone back and forth on it a few times, but that's really why I want to generate like conventional code with Blueprint. I know there's other ways that you could be writing this code. Sometimes I write code that way myself. But I really want to try to generate it, again, the very textbook, very, documented, very, some people might even call longhand ways, because there are people that use this package that are very new and they're learning, and I want to promote, again, those foundational things and then give them a place to evolve from there. If you want to evolve from there and use even more shorthands or write your code in a different way, that's totally fine. And again, maybe version 2.0 of Blueprint might be able to support some of those types of things. But for now, I really want to have that, kind of easy barrier to entry, kind of low barrier to entry, easy code to look at, even if it is a little bit redundant to some. Okay, so local model looks up the model for context. So let's see if controller generator has something like that as well, which I think it does. Yes, it has a model for context. Good. Okay, so we already know this. And this is another refactor I want to do, and we talked about this too. There needs to just be some kind of model registry, because half of these generators do some kind of model for context referencing. So we see already the controller and test generator do it. And obviously the model generator does it. So, okay. So we do have this, which is good. So basically we could pull that out, and then we still don't know exactly what they're validating. We still wouldn't know exactly what they're validating. I'm just thinking, I'm thinking, I don't know what Blueprint would do in this scenario, to be honest. So let's say you wrote a validate statement like, and maybe someone in the audience could run this real fast. Certificate. So let's say certificate was a model, but you also were like, I don't know, you were validating certificate and like something else like post.name, I don't know what Blueprint does in that scenario, to be honest. I would say it's kind of undocumented, unsupported behavior, but I don't think many people are doing that right now. My mind was kind of going there for a second. So here's what I'm thinking. After all of that, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking check for validate statement. All right. If so, use it for columns, else use reference, ... That's what I would like to do. I would like to do that. Now it's a bit, again, this is a bit ugly, and I don't think there's a way to set columns after the fact, which is okay. I wouldn't necessarily even want to do that. So what the controller generator should do is check for validate statement, and then let's say if validate statement use those as columns, right? Otherwise, or else, pseudocode, get columns for model by reference. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's what we want to do. Okay, so we want to kind of pre-check this. That's going to give us some columns, and if we have those, we're going to end up passing that into output as an additional optional parameter. We'll pass in something like columns, right? Or maybe call it data or fields or something. We'll see. Columns is probably fine in fairness. So if we have that field, basically what we would do here is say just that. We would kind of just say, if not empty columns, or we could just collapse those into some kind of, you know, quick little array that we'd pipe over, and then we'd support that. Now the interesting thing is, again, we probably want to clean those up just a bit. It's not going to be 100%, which again is probably why I didn't write this in the first place, because there's kind of no guarantees on what the user is putting in, but I think we could make it work for a majority of the cases, which is a good start. So let's do this. Let's make this happen. But let's drive that out with a failing test first. So looks like we have plenty of those opportunities. Let's just open up the ones we know. So for example, we have this Pascal case in our test. So let's go bring up our controller this time, because we know the test. Well, that's true too. The test code's going to have to generate. The test code's going to need to test stuff. Does it do that already? Did we already fix that? We might have already fixed that. Where is update? We did already fix that. Based on validate. We did. Good call. Okay. So yeah, this is already in the test, but it's related because it has that, they all kind of are interdependent as we've been seeing. So what is this? Certificate controller. Let's just start changing these. So update, certificate update request. Do we actually make one of those? Somewhere, maybe? Yes, we do. Okay, let's just borrow this for a sec and see what this looks like. Now see, I probably wouldn't write the update statement this way. I don't think you'll find this in the Laravel documentation that often, the compound update. I think what you see more often. I feel like this thing is turning off like faster and faster. You guys will have to throw something in the chat like every, 100 seconds or so, so the noise happens. Cool. Anyway, what I was trying to say was that probably what I do more often is actually like certificate name equals request, input name. That's really what I would probably generate more often. And you know what? That's exactly that's the actual ultimate reason why I never generated any of this. Is because this isn't going to work. Doing just this, that's the issue. Doing just this isn't going to work out. These variables wouldn't exist. So I'd be generating like completely incomplete code. So yeah, I feel like, yeah, Yoast is advocating for fill. That's not something I use very often either, in fairness. All right, let's put it to a vote. I would say when update is a reference, here's what we're going to do. I think here's the correct approach if we're going to try to solve this bug. The correct approach would really to be, we really would have to know that you're using validation in combination with a call to update. If you're not using validate, then all this is, we just can't generate an update statement is the bottom line, which is why right now you're just getting this, which is valid, but kind of hints at you as the developer needing to fill that in, no pun intended. So the way I would write the code is probably more like this. We'll just shorthand it. And then, that would happen a couple times in fairness. And then some people would write this as certificate fill, request validated or something like that. Validated. And then certificate save. So this is like the ultimate shorthand version of that to write. I think in practicality, in the real world, I probably write my code a little bit more like this. And again, these would of course be different things. Let's just call it author or something like that. So a little more expressive, a little more declarative, I guess, maybe not expressive. This one's probably more expressive. So I'll put it to a vote for the several people that are on the live stream while I get a little drink. Let me know which one you vote for. So again, the longhand, like we were talking about, declarative, if you will, declarative. That's not right. It's an A, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. Or shorthand, expressive. And again, who knows? While I'm waiting for you all to poll in, let me know. Let's go look at the docs. Laravel.com. Late to the party. Well, no problem, Adrian. You can just in time to vote. Request update or model update. Is there model? Has anyone else, as a tangent, real quick, not to derail us, has anyone else felt like the search in the Laravel docs has gotten less good? I don't want to say it's bad because it's still good, and it's not like it's Laravel's fault because it's all Algolia, but something here feels like they changed their algorithm or something lately because it has not been as clean as before. I wonder if is Phil in here? There we go. If you already have a model instance, you may fill. Okay, so Phil's definitely in the documents, so nothing's wrong with that. Let's go take a look at update. See, update's really only used kind of inline on a query. They never really show update on its own. So I do think that the original kind of certificate update is pretty gross. That's pretty not the one you'd want to generate, in my opinion. So it's definitely one of these two. What do people think? Yeah, I don't find always what I need. Yeah. Okay, so I need some votes because I don't know. And if I don't know, then I'm just going to wait and figure it out later. And we'll just stop the stream here. Okay, so we need a vote. We need longhand or shorthand. What do we think? All right, we got a 1 vote for Phil. Nate, all right, thank you for voting. I know there's a bit of a delay, so what else? Who else is voting? Adrian uses update. Crazy. So you call update and then you do the request in update? Adrian? Curious. The first one's more verbose, and no shit. So we've got certificate, update, in line with the rest of Blueprint. Yeah, the longhand, that part is true. Yes. The longhand theoretically or technically speaking to the conversation I just had a few minutes ago, yes, would be more in line with kind of what Blueprint does. I'm curious though, Adrian, you were saying, do you do like something like this with update? Do you do that? And I do that as well. So Yost, just to be clear, are you casting a vote for longhand or shorthand? And then Adrian, do you do this? Because I'd actually be open to that kind of, considering we're using an update statement. I'm kind of open to this. We've got a new option in the running. This is option 3. Option number 3 is right there. Oh, you do update request validated. Okay, I see. Oh, so no fill and no save. Oh, see this. I'm glad I asked for clarification. You do request validated. Oh, that's Adrian. This is the winner. This is the winner, folks. This is the winner because two reasons. One, it's in line with what we do for save minus the validated part in fairness. I think we just do request data here. But yes. If I have to transform, I use third option. What's transform? This works because this gives you a key value. This gives you a key valued array, right? Yeah, validated. Get deep down in here. Yeah, data get array set. Yeah, keys and values. That should do what we want. I like this. This is. I think this is going to be the winner for 2 reasons. One, it's in line with what we do with save, and 2, it prevents us from having to do anything with the model naming, and that's going to be the absolute easiest thing we have to do today. So let's do this. Okay, so that's what's going to get generated now, the code we expect, and so we don't run into that same issue earlier, let's change it here as well. So this will be request validated. There we go. I like this. And I like using validated here because this is going to demonstrate the coupling of what we're about to drive out. I don't use it in save because we don't always have validated, but I do think in fairness there's an open issue for that. So let's run this test. And we get failures because we just get updated. And what is this, first failure or something? What's going on here? Okay, cool. Let's make this happen. I like that also for the second reason I was going to say is because it makes it so easy. We really just need to pass in a uses validation here. Validation, I can't spell. Oh my God, let's just back all that out. Let's just start completely over. Okay, so what I want to do is determine if there is an instance of validate within statements. And in fairness, you kind of need to know if there's a pre-existing validate. So let's just do this. This is a bit gross, but again, we'll make it pass and then we'll clean it up later. Uses validation equals false. Cool. And then in the validate statement, we'll basically say uses validation is true. And then down here, we'll simply pass it in. Uses validation. And now that I see that, I like using validation a little bit better. So let's refactor that. Oops. Oh, I guess you can't refactor when you have a, there we go. Using validation. Let's go to output. And this will be a bool. Using validation is equal to false. So we won't even pass that in initially. And what we'll do instead of that is we'll basically just say here, if using validation, straight up do some code, and this will be request validated. Nice. I like it already. Else. I don't like this part. We could clean that up if we wanted to, but this is okay for now. Again, let's get it passing, and then we'll come back to refactor and call it done. Yay! All right, and let's see what else breaks now. Okay, that was expected because we haven't cleaned this up in the tag update request. So let's go find this. So we'll switch gears back to cleaning up our tests, which is, oh wow, this is in multiple spots. Oh no, it's just this one. It's just this one. And this will be request validated. Run it. And we are green. Nice. Okay, so let's refactor this because I definitely don't like that nested code. So let's just kind of clean this up just a little bit. So let's pull this back out to where it was. And all we're doing is wrapping. All we're kind of doing is wrapping columns into a final data bit. Well, it's a little bit yeah, I don't like that double layer of nesting. I'm just trying to think of the best way to get rid of it. Let's give it like 2 minutes here and see what happens. So you could get an empty bit here if columns is nothing. So you kind of already have some nesting, but that's very specific to what's happening here. I could wrap that and really say something more like columns is that, and then override columns inside here. But you're still going to have the else, which is gross. So you know what? That nesting is not, it's actually not that bad. So let's just bail. I think in the process of breaking it out, it actually is going to end up being just as bad code. So we already have the nesting here anyway. We could do something like, oh, if it's an update statement and you're using validation, then do this one thing, and then else, else if your update in general, but that's just as ugly. So let's drop out our old comments there. Make sure everything still passes. Oh, I introduced an issue. My bad. There we go. This is why you only change one thing at a time. See that? That was gross. All right, let's add this up. So yeah, that's fine. Using validation is false, although, you know what? Let's just give a tiny bit of breathing room. Okay, so yeah, we're using validation as true. We're going to pass that in just in that case. It's an optional parameter. And again, we've added some code nesting here, no probs. And then there we go. We got a better output now of request validated, which already aligns with our tests because the test generates checks based on the validate statement. So again, that's why I went with this over kind of those original options which I proposed. So, oh, we missed that little line break. And again, let's just make sure we are fully passing. And I will open a pull request for this. I'll make a commit and then I'll open a pull request for this just for a little bit of documentation around how we proposed fixing that. So let's do a git commit m, use validate or update. How about update with request data when using validation? There we go. Git push origin head. Git open. All right. What other stuff we got? And use this merge inside. Cool. Yeah, Adrian, I think you're talking about more custom stuff than what's necessary for what we have. But yeah, that's cool. Okay, good. So I'll basically document this. Good. We're right at the hour. So next week, that should solve all the bugs. But again, I'm sure Yoast will find something. If not, maybe someone else will. But hopefully there are no bugs just because Blueprint's good at this point, or getting better. And two, I'd really love to get to some of those refactors. So I think next week, what we'll do is focus on the refactor for the model context first. And then maybe we'll also tackle some of the other stuff. But I think making that model registry is going to help. It's going to reduce a lot of code in the generators. I do feel the generators have gotten pretty... Oh, good. Yoast is on vacation, he says, so I won't get a bunch of a bunch of bugs. So the generators have grown in size, is what I was going to say. So I'd really like to collapse them down. The test generator is the worst offender at 700 lines, and again, nothing's wrong in my opinion in and of itself of having a long class, but the complexity within each one of these. This nesting layer here is really, I mean, look at that. What is that? 5, 6 nesting layers deep? That's nuts. That's the part that bothers me. It's not so much the length of the class. It's this kind of crazy, huge build test case method that does all the things. So I think there's opportunities to start whittling down that with refactors. And that's what my refactors would focus on is kind of making these generators be smaller and then doing things maybe more at the parser level, like we talked about, that can help, again, reduce code at lower levels and give us more hooks to do things at high levels that we haven't even thought of yet, like version 2, crazy stuff in version 2. So, yeah, exactly. Cyclomatic complexity. It's pretty dense in there. And since we're testing with fixtures, we don't really see that so much, which is good, but we'd like to clean that up. And then the third refactor would be the fixtures. Absolutely. So with that, I will call it quits right under the hour here. Thank you all for joining live, and hopefully continue to use Blueprint. See you next time.